Men in the silent quit live narratives across a lifetime. The silent quit doesn't arrive the same way for every man. It shifts shape with age, responsibility, and loss. But the through line is consistent, a gradual withdrawal that feels safer than continued hope. Let's get into it. Early 20s. The quiet collapse of expectation. Jake, 22. Jake did everything he was told would work. He went to school, took on debt, worked part-time, graduated into a job that barely covers rent. The work is repetitive, monitored, replaceable. His boss talks about growth while cutting hours. Raises never come. Jake doesn't hate work. He hates the realization that effort doesn't translate into stability. So he stops dreaming out loud. He still clocks in. He still performs. But he no longer imagines a future tied to this path. He avoids conversations about where he sees himself in 5 years because the answer feels embarrassing. When friends talk about hustle culture or passion, he jokes it off. Inside, he feels stupid for ever believing the story. Mentally, this looks like low-grade depression masked as sarcasm, withdrawal from ambition, a sense that adulthood is already a compromise. Jake hasn't quit life, but he's quietly stopped expecting it to deliver. Late 20s, early 30s. Emotional retrenchment. Marcus, 29. Marcus works full-time and is in a long-term relationship. From the outside, he's doing fine. Inside, he feels like he's constantly failing invisible tests. He wants to talk about feeling overwhelmed, inadequate, unsure, but every time he tries, he senses discomfort. Conversations pivot quickly to solutions or comparisons. Someone always has it worse. So Marcus learns to edit himself. He brings up problems only when they're practical. Emotional uncertainty stays locked away. At work, he no longer volunteers for extra projects. At home, he becomes agreeable but distant. He doesn't argue, not because he's at peace, but because he's tired of explaining himself. The silent quit here is relational. He's still present, but no longer emotionally invested in being fully known. This is where many men start to feel lonely inside relationships, and ashamed for feeling that way. Mid-30s to 40s. Provider fatigue. Daniel, 41. Daniel is a father. His days revolve around responsibility, mortgage, school schedules, aging parents, work demands that never stop. People depend on him. No one asks how he's holding up. He's learned that expressing exhaustion is risky. It sounds like weakness, or ingratitude, or failure. So Daniel stops talking about it. He handles things, he fixes things, he absorbs stress like it's his job, because in many ways it is. But something subtle happens. Joy gets postponed indefinitely. Hobbies disappear. Friendships fade. Rest feels undeserved. At work, he does exactly what's required. No more. At home, he's loving but flat. His kids don't see sadness. They see distraction. The silent quit here is existential. Daniel hasn't checked out of responsibility, but he's checked out of himself. This is often when men's mental health declines sharply, even as their lives appear successful. 50s, 60s. The reckoning of replaceability. Tom, 58. Tom gave decades to his job. Loyalty meant something to him. Then restructuring happened. Younger managers arrived. He was thanked for his service and quietly sidelined. He didn't lose his job, but he lost relevance. At this age, reinvention is praised in theory and punished in practice. Tom feels invisible in meetings, dismissed in conversations, unsure where his experience fits anymore. He stops offering ideas, he stops correcting mistakes, he starts counting down the years. Outside of work, friendships have thinned. Men his age don't talk about fear. They talk about sports, politics, weather. So Tom carries a growing sense of grief alone. Grief for usefulness. Grief for time. Grief for a self that once felt essential. The silent quit here is about meaning. When men feel no longer needed, many don't rage, they fade. Older men, withdrawal as protection. Frank, 72. Frank is retired. People assume this is freedom, but his identity was built on contribution. Without it, days stretch long and quiet. He doesn't want to burden his adult children. He doesn't know how to make new friends. The world feels louder, faster, less interested in him. So Frank keeps things simple: TV, routine, polite conversations. He doesn't say he's lonely, he says he's fine. This is where the silent quit becomes dangerous. Social isolation compounds, health declines, depression hides behind stoicism. Frank isn't dramatic. He isn't asking for help. He's just slowly disappearing. The common thread: why silence persists. Across ages, the silent quit is fueled by the same forces. Conditional worth: you matter if you produce. Punished vulnerability. Emotional illiteracy reinforced by culture. Systems that extract effort without reciprocity. Men learn early that endurance is praised more than honesty, so when life becomes unbearable, they don't scream, they reduce themselves. They make life smaller, quieter, less risky. What interrupts the silent quit? Men don't need lectures, they need experiences that contradict what they've been taught. Moments where speaking honestly doesn't cost them respect. Rest doesn't feel like failure. Their value isn't tied to output. Someone stays present instead of fixing or fleeing. Sometimes it's a therapist, sometimes a friend who asks again, sometimes a partner who listens without reframing. Sometimes it's simply being named. This isn't laziness, this is burnout and grief. The silent quit ends not when men try harder, but when they feel safe enough to re-engage. If this resonates with you, please leave us a comment. Thanks for watching and see you all next time.